All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Lori Arthur, and I'm my IT training and support. And today we're going to be talking about OnBase, specifically accessing OnBase, searching for documents, and using custom web apps. So today we're going to be talking about training resources, what is OnBase and why are we using it, accessing OnBase, using the OnBase custom queries and the OnBase panes that you'll see when you're viewing those. Then we'll look at the OnBase custom web apps, and then we'll have some dedicated time for Q&A at the end as well. So training resources, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this. So we do have links to these user guides that we've created. There's also a recording of this training that's available here as well. And you're welcome to come back here and view these again if you have any questions or if you want to learn more about how to use OnBase. So OnBase is a tool that facilitates scanning documents into a searchable repository. We'll be using OnBase for a variety of scanned documents such as student transcripts, financial aid documents, SOQs, and more. We're moving all of our scanned documents to OnBase, so it will also serve as an archive for our legacy documents. OnBase is replacing My Workplace/FileNet as our repository for scanned documents. And you should find that OnBase has better loading times for the searches, as well as loading time for the documents themselves. So in terms of accessing OnBase, there's a few different ways that you'll be able to get to it. The main method is going to be through, get this, the OnBase icon that you'll see in Titan Online in the campus portal. And this will allow you to access all of your available document searches. You'll be able to see everything that you have access to through this OnBase icon. There's also the Docs button that is in PeopleSoft that is now connected to OnBase. And so whenever you see that Docs button, in this case, you can see it's for the enrollment summary and campus solutions for a specific student. So clicking on this button means that it will show me all of the documents in OnBase that I have access to for this specific student. The SOQ report on the graded class list in the faculty student success dashboard is also connected to OnBase. So when they click on this SOQ report link, it's going to open up a list of all of the SOQs for that particular class, for that particular faculty when they click on this. Keep in mind that with both of these, you're only able to view for that specific individual or that specific class. So it's only showing you that. This, like the search feature is within PeopleSoft or within the graded class list here. So if I wanted to search for a different student, I'd have to come back here into PeopleSoft and then click the doc button again, and it will open up in the documents that are associated in OnBase for that particular student. Likewise, with the graded class list, I'd have to come back here and click on a different link if I wanted to see the SOQs for a different class that I was teaching as a faculty. So you want to use OnBase in the portal if you want to be able to do multiple searches for multiple classes or multiple students. You'll also want to keep in mind that when you're accessing OnBase, you are going to need to be connected to either the campus wired network or use the campus VPN. You will see a landing page appear. So if you're not properly connected, you'll see a landing page that's going to remind you, hey, you need to either connect to the wired network or you need to connect to VPN before you'll be able to access that. And that's, of course, because there's an awful lot of confidential data that isn't OnBase. So we need to make sure that everybody is securely connected to it in order to access those documents. So for OnBase custom queries, most users will be using the custom queries feature to find documents. And in this training, we're covering the web interface, but there are some central users who have access to a desktop client, and the functionality for searching is similar in both environments. So once you log in, you'll see a list of queries or searches that you have access to use. If you have a really long list, you can use this search feature at the top and sort of enter some search criteria to narrow down the number of which queries that you have here. So I could put something like FA, and it would show me all the financial aid searches that I have access to. And then I simply click on the query that I want to use. So before we dive into actually running the queries, we're going to look at the different panes that you'll see in OnBase. So over here on the left is the query pane, and that is comprised of a query type section. So that's all the queries that you have access to or the searches that you have access to. And then you have the document date and keywords section, and that's where you're going to put in your search criteria for the query that you've selected. And then you have the custom query results pane on the top at the right. And this is all of the search results for the query and the keywords that you selected. And then once you select a particular document, then this is the document pane where it will open. You do also have the option to open it in a new window if you prefer, but generally just double clicking on it will open it in this document pane. So as you can see in this animation, you can adjust the panes. So in this case, I'm simply dragging the document pane up so that it is kind of hiding some of the custom query results so I can see a little bit more of the document itself. Anywhere you see these three dots, you can drag and adjust the size of these panes. You can also hide a pane. So in this example, what I'm doing is I'm double clicking on the dots that are in between the panes, and it collapses the pane. In this case, I've collapsed the query pane because once I've done my search, I may want to just be focusing on the results and then the document pane. And so you'll simply double click. And then when you want to bring it back, you simply click on the double arrow icon, and that will go ahead and bring back that query pane. So I kind of like this a little bit better because it's easy to sort of collapse panes rather than having to drag them and drop them. But whatever works for you. This is just another option for you. All right, so once you've selected a query, then the first thing that you're going to usually enter is the document date range. So the dates for the documents that you want to look up. So you can use the calendar icons or simply type in a date range if you'd like, or you can click on this caret icon and that will open up some extra options for you. So here you can see it's selected. Here's some months that I can pick. So rather than having to put in the July dates, I can simply click July 2024 and it will populate the July dates here. Or I can do relative dates, today, yesterday, this week, last week, this month, year to date. So whichever one works best for you, you can kind of just see depending on what you're looking for, you can go ahead and either use the relative dates or use a specific document date here. And then the keywords are going to be, which ones they are will depend on what kind of query you're running, of course, and what kind of documents that you're looking up. But generally, there's about 4 different types of keywords. So you have numeric ones like SSN, where it's looking just for me to put some sort of number in here. You also have text fields like name, where obviously it's just looking for some sort of text. Then you have date fields, and this one, like date of birth, it's looking for a date here. And I can, again, type or I can use the calendar icon. And then you have drop downs. And in this case, I would click on this caret icon, and then I can select from the available options for this particular keyword field. So you can use any combination of these that you would like. Keep in mind that depending on how many search results there are going to be, you may have to enter more information. Sometimes you'll be able just to put in like a document date and have it just show you all the results and it'll be fine. And sometimes it's going to come back and say, nope, that's too many search results. You need to narrow it down. So if you get that error message, that simply means just you'll need to put something in the keywords or something additional in the keywords if you don't have enough here. And then that will allow you to run the query. So once you've entered your keywords, your document date, you'll click search. There are some additional query options if you'd like to create more complex searches. So the default comparison operator for most of the keyword fields is an equal sign, meaning that scan date is equal to a particular scan date. But you can click on this to change it. And depending on what type of field it is, the comparison operators may differ that are available to you. But in this case, I changed it to a greater sign, which means I want anything scan date is greater than 7/1/24, meaning that it's going to show me all documents that have a scan date after July 1st, 2024. So that's one option. Another option you have is to duplicate keyword fields. So when you hover your mouse over a particular keyword field, you'll see that there is a little plus sign that appears next to your mouse. When that happens, you'll click it, and that will create a duplicate of that keyword field. In this case, I have 2 scan dates. And again, I can work with the different comparison operators. And then I also have this condition here. Typically it will default to and, but you can click on it to change it here because depending on what you're doing, and may or may not make sense. So in case whether you're talking about scan date, it doesn't really make sense to say, I want a scan date to be and with two different dates, because hopefully each document only has one scan date associated with it. So in this case, I clicked on it to change it to 2, and it actually automatically changed to a greater than equal to and a less than equal to for these. But again, I can change the comparison operators. So the way that this is reading right now is the scan date is July 1st, 2024 through July 5th, 2024. So it's going to show me all documents with a scan date of July 1st through July 5th. So again, you can kind of play around with these if you want to create more complex searches, but you certainly don't need to worry about this if you're doing a simple search. So the custom query results pane is where you're going to see your search results. And I've kind of expanded this screenshot so you can see the whole results screen here. Because once you get your search results, you're probably going to need to look in more depth at each of the results to find the document or documents that you're specifically looking for. So for example, these are financial aid student financial aid documents. Well, there's certain types of financial aid documents. So you may still need to look at like the description to find the specific type of document that you're looking for. You do have the option of filtering by any of these column headers here at the top. So you can see in this example, I filter by 2023 for the year, meaning that it is showing me only documents that are related to 2023. And you can even see here at the bottom, it's saying this is items 11 out of 118. So it's showing me only 11 of the search results out of 118 because only 11 of them are for 2023. And I can simply remove this 2023 and it will go back to showing me all 118. So this is just a way for you to filter it a little bit more so that you're only seeing the types of documents that you want to at any given point. And so to access a document, generally you'll just double click on the document you want to open it. But as I mentioned, you can open in a new window. So if you right click on a particular document, you'll see a little pop out and you can say open in a new window, and then you'll open the document in a brand new window. So for PDFs, this is kind of what they will look like, and it should look somewhat familiar to you because it does look very much the same as looking at any PDF on a website, if you're looking through your web browser. But we'll go through everything we're looking at here. So first, we're looking at page previews over here on the left. This shows me how many pages there are, but I can also use it to navigate. So I can click on page 2 to jump to page 2 if I'd like to. You can also see the page numbers up at the top here. So I can also change which page I'm on and see how many pages there are. I can adjust the zoom, so I can zoom in or zoom out. You can also fit the document to your page. You can also rotate the document if you need to. There are options to download and print if you have access to do that. And there's some more options that are available here under the 3 dots. You'll see any notes that are associated with the PDF over here on the right, and we'll talk more about those in a moment. If you have permissions, you can edit. You can either add a note from here, or you can edit the keywords that are associated with this document. Likewise, you can add a correction if you have permission to do that. Then there's options to go to the previous or next document in the search results. So rather than having to go back to the custom query results pane and then double click on another document, I can just use these links to move to the previous or next document in those search results. So that makes it a little bit easier to navigate without having to go back to that query results pane. So for PDFs, if you want to create notes or you want to view notes, you'll see there's a plus sign there that will allow me to create a new note if I have permission to do that. I can also search this text of these notes. So if there's a lot of notes and I'm looking for a particular one that has a particular text in it, I can search for that. Or I can use this, this icon here will expand all of the notes. So I don't have to click on each one. I'll be able to read all of them one after another. Or you can simply click on the note that you want to view. And they're only 250 characters, so you are seeing the entirety of that note here. If you have the ability, you can also edit the note from here. Once you click on the plus sign, it'll open up this notes field here, and I can click add to create a new note. And this notes section here, it's kind of hiding the document. It's kind of in front of it. So if you want to be able to view the document while you're creating the note, which can sometimes be really helpful, you can click show document. But then you can enter your note text here once you've created it. And then you can click save if you're creating multiple notes. So I can create a note and then I can click save. Or if I'm only creating one note, I can create the note and then click save and close. And you can also close if you just were viewing it and you don't want to create anything new. Keep in mind when it comes to editing and deleting notes, not everybody has permissions to do that. So you want to be very careful about it. I found that I could create notes, but I had no ability to edit them or delete them, even if I created a completely blank note. So just be mindful of what your permissions are when it comes to editing and deleting. And if you don't have permission to do either one of those, just be careful when you create something. All right, next we have the document pane for images. So again, this should look somewhat familiar to you if you use this in My Workplace or FileNet. So again, we have page previews here, but they're on the right. And I can see how many pages there are. I can click on a particular page to jump to it. I can print this document. These arrows here, the right and left ones, these are to move within this document. So I can move to the next page or to the last page. I have zoom options here, so I can zoom in or out on this document. And then these are options to sort of adjust it to fit the page. So you can change it so that it's actual size, you can fit the width, fit the height, or fit in window. You can also rotate the document. And then this button is for annotations. So similar to creating the notes for the PDFs, for images, it's typically just annotations. So when you press this button, it turns annotation mode on, and you can go ahead and select from the drop down here what type of annotation that you're trying to create, like an arrow, a rectangle, etc. Again, keep in mind that if you don't have permission to edit or delete annotations, you have to be very careful about placing them. I found that I placed down a rectangle and then I could not adjust it at all. I couldn't move it. I couldn't make it bigger or smaller. It was just there. So just be very careful depending on what your access is when it comes to annotations. You also have this option here to scale the document to gray. I found this is mostly already turned on for the documents. It's to try to make it a little bit more readable, but you can toggle this on and off if you want to see if that improves the readability. These arrows here will allow you to move to the previous or next document in the search results. So again, you don't have to go back to the query results pane. You can simply move within the search results here. And then there are some additional options that are available for you. All right, so now we're going to look very briefly at the OnBase custom web apps. We've talked a little bit about these already. The purpose of these is mainly to provide a direct link to specific document types that are related to information that you're seeing in another application. So for example, we have the enrollment summary. The docs button here will show you more of the more documents related to the student. And we talked about the graded class list where you're able to see the SOQ reports for a particular class. So as I mentioned before, keep in mind that when you're searching for these documents, it's all happening outside of OnBase. So you're searching for a particular student, a particular class, and then when you click the button, it will show you that information just for that student or that class. And to change, you'll come back into PeopleSoft or to the graded class list and choose a different link or choose a different student. So as I mentioned, the Docs button in PeopleSoft, it's not available for everybody, but it does allow you to view scanned documents for an individual. And it does appear in other PeopleSoft systems beyond like Campus Solutions. But this example is just the enrollment summary in Campus Solutions. And so when you click on the Docs button, it will pop up with this OnBase custom query results and also document pane. It's going to be in a new window. So it'll function just like the custom query results do in OnBase proper. you can go ahead and filter, you can open a new window, you can open the document pane. You just can't change, obviously, the query itself, because that's happening through PeopleSoft. You'd have to go back and change it and click the documents button again. But you do have all the same options once you get this little OnBase window pop up. And then for the SOQ report on the migrated class list / SOQ tab, this actually comes up with a custom interface, and it's showing me here's all of the documents associated with that particular course for that particular term. I can click on a particular document to view it, and that will open in either a new tab or a new window, depending on what your web browser is set up as. So you can see that here. And again, once you're looking at the document, it's exactly the same as the document pane that we saw before. So you have all the same options that you had in that one as well. You can't open each document and download it, but if you know you want to download everything, you can simply place a check mark either up here to select all of them or but next to each one that you want to download, and then a download button will appear, and that allows you to download all of these PDFs. Oh, and keep in mind, yes, when you're looking at a particular document, you will see any notes if there are any, and you have the ability to view them. And you do have the same options for editing and that you might have in OnBase proper. But keep in mind that you want to be careful about those as well. And I don't believe faculty will always have the options to edit or to add notes or anything like that to their SOQs here.